wanna talk about this restaurant life. So let's get into it tonight. It's a blessing as well as strife. So grab your fork and get your knife. Cause there's so much more to this restaurant life. Yeah, there's so much more to this restaurant life. So much more to this restaurant life. Let's go!
It's like that anticipation too, where it's
waiting,
like, oh, it's actually going to happen now. Oh, we're actually going to go. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Let me work on my diction.
So what I like to do at the beginning of the podcast is just be like as over the top and like showman-y, like Tonight Show as possible.
I get it.
To start the thing. Right on. And then we can make fun of how douchey it was.
I'm in.
Okay?
I'm in.
All right. Are we good to go? Okay, ready? Hey, how's it going, guys? Matt coming at you from Restaurant Life Episode 4 with my friend, Chef Erik Paulsen. Welcome to the Restaurant Life Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great to be here. Great, enthusiastic welcome. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, Matt. We have a guest approaching.
Oh, we have a guest. Hold on one second. We're going to cut, and then we're going to come right back. That was Lizzie.
I was like, that's a real special guest. I didn't realize I was going to be second billing here.
You're second banana to Lizzie, our Amish cleaning lady, chef.
Welcome.
Yes. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome everybody.
Everybody's here.
Everyone's here. Hey, Harmony, am I right? Right?
We're living in it.
A little slice of Americana. That's what I've always said about this town.
So this Restaurant Life podcast is about living the restaurant life, and we're going to get into that because we have a very similar background as far as growing up in the restaurant life
business,
lifestyle. And we were going to start with that, but last night at the Oscars,
yes, we better get this out of the way.
Somebody got slapped in the face.
We got to unload and unpack all of this.
I was like, dude, I woke up this morning and Heidi's like, did you see what happened last night? And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know the Oscars were last night. That's how out of touch.
Well, that's probably why the only reason it got the exposure.
And that's what they're saying now online. Like, dude, this is like, if it's staged, which it didn't look like.
But hey, guess what? They're actors.
Yeah, exactly.
They're supposed. He went on a few minutes later to win Best Actor award.
Right.
So
there's a lot to unpack.
There is, and I'll say this: if it was manufactured, if it was scripted, well done.
Well done.
From the reaction to the
Chris Rock. Like, if it was real, okay, if it was real, if it was an act, well done. But if it was particularly real, how he played it off,
right,
made a joke about it, and kept going, and like he could have derailed the Oscars right there.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah, he could have threw a tantrum, got emotional about it.
That part plays as far as like, was it real or was it not?
You know, but that's just a testament to his
professional
craft. His professionality. You know, I think it was like I read some quotes saying like, Lenny Bruce said something about know your act so well that if somebody punches you in the mouth, you still have the ability to keep going.
Yep.
And he was in clear display of that, if it was real.
He didn't keep his hands back. Like, he was just like, all right.
Maybe he knew that that's what was coming, and he's like, I better take my lumps.
Right.
And then I better man up after it.
Oh,
and,
man.
and if that's what it is, it's whatever sort of culture thing, but, you know, it was played off.
There was like 45 memes this morning.
Oh my gosh.
It was the news.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, isn't that crazy? Like, that's our news now? That's
it's
distilled.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. And it's like, that's what everybody's talking about this morning.
And I get it. Especially in today's culture with online trolls, everything like that. Everyone just, you know, like Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Right.
You know, and I think for so long we've been insulated to just kind of say what we want without repercussion. And this was a clear display of repercussion. I'm not condoning the violence, but people will react.
Yes.
And you know, and as humans, we just got to we got to roll with that sometimes.
And in the tech environment too, of how fast everybody absorbs it.
Yeah, and gets it sent to them.
It's like, man,
immediately.
It's a different world.
It's interesting. I don't know if I would trade it to go back to the previous information age, just for the advances in society and humanity that we've had.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a trade-off to say, this outlet has been more toxic than positive.
Have you heard Elon Musk talk about the future and AI, the future of AI, where he's like talking to Joe Rogan, he's like, I tried to tell them. I tried to stop them. Like, it's like Terminator 2.
I mean, he might possibly be a time traveler.
Yeah.
and he's just holding he's like, why did I come back to this time of all times?
It's terrifying because he's like, I went to Congress. I tried to tell them. I tried to stop them, but they wouldn't listen. And it's like, Joe was like, you're scaring me right now. What are you talking about?
Well, didn't the guy in Skynet from Terminator 2, same thing?
Same thing.
Yep. He toyed with humanity, and guess what? Humanity started taking over,
Have you seen this boy?
The singularity started taking over, and that's when they feel that AI will start learning on its own and evolving. That's called the singularity, and when it doesn't need human interaction anymore.
Well, I'll tell you this. We're okay because we're cooks, and people still got to eat, damn it.
Well, right, and as long as we don't get turned into like food pods ourselves for the machines,
that's one of my jokes too. It's like, hey man, when the New World Order takes over and there's only so much room on the spaceship to get out, they're gonna want the best chefs to feed them.
That is fair.
If the cyborgs don't win, however it goes down. They're going to need some tasty food.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to walk on the ship with like a bottle of champagne and like a big thing of Dijon mustard. And be like, guys, huh?
You like flavor?
Huh?
I mean, end of the world flavor.
Go.
End of the world flavor.
Yeah.
Just want to get on the boat. Just got to get on the ship. That's the thing. So, okay. So the fucking Oscars. Unbelievable. Let's talk about restaurant life. Let's talk about growing up.
I like it.
Let's talk about growing up in a restaurant. Let's talk about this lifestyle. You started.
I was thinking of that on my way over. I started when I was 14 years old. This year, I am 44 years old. That makes 30 years, 3 decades, on and off, but mostly on in this industry. And wow, where did the time go?
Right.
It baffles me.
Yeah.
To like blink now and go look around at my surroundings and go, so much has changed, but yet here I am, right, kind of in the middle of it still.
Yep.
It's like you stand in Times Square and just watch all the commotion and the lights and everything just flying past you. And
it's like you're standing there in slow motion. Everything else is going fast, like those shots that they do.
Yeah, very much.
Where it's
so.
like it's not in real time,
like
but
a time lapse.
A time lapse. Yeah.
But you're able to move freely within it, and the rest of the world's speeding up. That's when you look back on my career now. It totally feels like that. It feels surreal of the energy that just encompasses you within this industry, because it's just so high paced, high stress.
Yes.
Highly social.
And it goes in it's seasonal, and it goes in spurts, and it goes with trends as far as when people are.
It goes with
the weather,
the sunrise,
exactly,
and the sunset. Being out here in the middle of farm country, as the sun starts to set, I've always seen, if it sets earlier, then your rush is earlier in the evening. Mm-hmm. Once the sun starts setting later, your rush starts moving, and it's like it follows a sundial just naturally, and you see just what kind of creatures of habit we are.
Oh man.
And
it's like a sociology experiment.
And you have to, as chefs, you have to understand that to be effective within it. And
not having the nightlife here was something that I had to get used to as far as hours of operation.
Right.
It's like, dude, people eat between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And then that's it. It's a farm community.
Yep.
And we're done. It's like there's a couple bars in town. Yep. If people want to go have drinks late at night or whatever, there's an options on the weekends, or at night we got the distillery. Right. But as far as supper, in the cities, it's like, everywhere is open till 10 o'clock. Yep. It's like, dude.
I think a great way to look at it is the clientele around here, a lot of them are their own CEOs. Mm-hmm. They're their own CEOs of their farms. They're their own CEOs of these small little businesses, and they make good business decisions with self-discipline by going, well, I have a lot to do tomorrow. I'm going to construct my day to be here. And if it's opportunistic for me to eat earlier,
That's
these
a
are
good
just
point.
good CEO-minded
that's a
kind
good
of
point.
decisions.
And the like-mindedness too.
Right.
Like I'll talk to farmers and people in that industry, or like pork producer guys.
Right. Yeah.
People that got
There's so many facets attached to the ag business.
Yeah, that have a lot to do with that side of the industry, and it's very similar. Like, hey, we're looking ahead, we're planning ahead, but here's my day, here's my itinerary, here's what I need to get done, and it's very thought out, and like I said, like-minded, where they're like, we do this for a reason,
And then we take that in our capacity, and then we benefit, if you will. We become opportunistic to say, well, this is when you want to eat. Okay, well, we know we're going to have our hours here.
Yeah.
And again, the nightlife, it's so-so, but everyone's hours as a whole probably don't reflect that type of hourly demographic.
Yep.
I know as a young kid, prowling around all the time, having fun. That I think that everyone kind of does that, and then the realities of life come.
You make your own fun too.
Yeah, you make your own fun,
Yeah.
and the realities of life come in, and you're like, all right, well, I guess I better start constructing myself and disciplining myself to hold the day as well.
One of my, just going off that a little bit, one of my favorite rural hobbies that you guys have here is going on tour.
It's a rite of passage.
That's a rite of passage, going on tour. That's something I learned. And then also, when I learned last year was killing ditch cougars, shooting ditch cougars.
Which I will not condone. I would like to go on the record to say that my newly adopted cat, Bodie, Bodie, if you're listening to this, happy first birthday today.
Happy birthday, big boy.
He's 1 year old, March 28th. We adopted him 2 weeks ago. Just starting to get to pet him.
Right on.
I mean, he's finally warming up to the Paulsons.
That's good.
Right.
That's good. Don't let him roam.
No, I'm not letting him out in the ditch. I know what happens. Fortunately,
you guys were talking about it, and I go, wait a minute.
Yep.
What is it called? And you're like, oh yeah, ditch cougars, man. You gotta get those ditch cougars. It's like, okay, I don't know what that is. Like, it's like stray cats, and you got BB guns. You're not killing them. You're just,
Yeah, just ruthlessly maiming them.
Yeah. I'm like, that's what you guys did? Yeah, it was high school. It was fun.
Yeah.
We did stupid shit in high school too. Don't get me wrong.
Apparently they needed to put a season on feral cats. If they would, they wouldn't have this problem. I blame this on the institution.
This is from the top down.
From the top down,
it's feral cat.
Flawed system.
Feral cat
Poor
issue.
cats. I blame it on the government.
Oh my God. Okay, so going back, you started at 7th Rib. Was that?
Yep, 7th Rib, which it was in Racine, Minnesota. Was a supper club. Again, really focused towards the farmers. That was open for almost 30 years. Actually, I think a little over 30 years.
Right on.
My mom worked there as a server, host, bartender, bar manager, for quite a long time.
So even before you started working there, you were there.
And there was time, the little tray of cocktail onions and maraschino cherries.
Oh, dude.
That was, like defying all health standards. I was grazing my way across.
That's a perk.
Oh yeah,
of growing up in a restaurant.
Yep.
You get to go behind the bar and grab
help yourself to orange wedges, maraschino cherries. Yep, all the kitty cocktails you can drink. I tell you what, that's what hooked me was the grenadine.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've said it before. I was 14 when I was like, hey, I want my own money. It's time to go to work.
Yeah.
And so I got a job washing dishes, and I'll say, washing dishes is the gateway drug to cooking. You stand basically on the sidelines and watch the pros.
Yeah, dude.
And I remember at 14 this was pre Food Network, before the whole celebrity chef thing.
Yep.
I mean, I'm that old. And so I was just enamored. The only celebrity chefs I had was like Martin Yan and Justin Wilson from PBS and Julia Child. And so they're really...
How about Mr. Food? Is that his name?
Yeah, he was on Channel 10. He would have that. Ooh, it's so good.
It's so good.
He should have. Oh man, it always got me. It's like, don't say it. Don't say that. Oh, you ruined your perfect goulash by saying, ooh, it's so good. Now I'm not going to make it, Mr. Food.
Oh, Mr. Food.
Right. And so it was all this pre-celebrity chef thing.
And you're in the dish pit.
And I'm in the dish pit, but I'm watching these guys, these big, sweaty, muscular guys just owning their environments and feeling their confidence. And it was like, who are these titans of industry? And I was.
It is a vibe.
It's a total vibe. It's an energy that which unfortunately is very infectious.
Oh, man.
And it hooked me from a very early age. Shortly after, when I was 15 years old, Fry Cook called out.
Somebody didn't show up, and now
somebody didn't show up,
and Fry Cook.
And I'll never forget just the cook kind of leaning across the corner to the dish pit. Hey, want to work fryer tonight? And it was just bing, just
dude,
this.
I've arrived.
I'm getting sent up to the pros.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I got the call.
And I'm like, all right, you've watched these guys enough. You know what you're doing. I jumped in that fry station and sank.
Dude.
I got so much anxiety just wrapping baked potatoes and making sure that the fries weren't still frozen, but they weren't burnt. And when you're 15 years old, you have zero concept of understanding
time and temperature.
Time and temperature.
And when to get it out and when to put it in.
So you try to fake it till you make it. And
that's a good point too, because I remember that the first time I had to do the fryer, I was working the cold station, and they're like, hey, just put these polenta cakes in and then have them out and ready to go
when they're done.
When the food comes over here and when these plates are done, you can put the polenta cakes on. Left them in there way too long. Had no idea.
Frame of reference.
And they're looking at me like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Give me a box
I've never
of
fried anything
pizza rolls
before.
in a microwave.
Yeah.
I got you.
I made the salad over here, but this hot oil basket thing,
I've never seen anything like this in my life.
And it's terrifying.
It's,
you know?
And again, that majesty that you see these guys owning, you realize owns you until you get the confidence to just wield it. And it takes time.
Come with it with both hands.
And you have to jump in. You
jump in.
If you're scared, it will bite you back like a cobra.
It'll burn the shit out of you, literally.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It'll eat you.
And those scars, at first you hate them. You hate having them. Like, you feel like you're a cutter and you need to hide them from society. But then after a while, you realize they're badges of honor, and
I earn these.
And you know, and then you get older and you stay in the life, and you run into people that are in the industry, and you understand they are. You look down at their arms, you check their forearms. Dude, they got scars, they got burns, they got pocks.
That's one of the first things that, like, people, when I first started, like, they worked at other restaurants, and they're like, yeah, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, I work here. Like, let me see your arms. Let me see your scars, man.
Yeah, prove it.
Yeah. Like, I just worked the salad station.
And it's such an ego-driven industry, but again, I think the egos it takes to face society and make yourself vulnerable by saying, I made this. Not only did I make this, are you willing to pay me for it?
Right.
That's an extreme amount of vulnerability to offer to society.
And that line of confidence and arrogance is hard. It gets muddled.
It does, because it's really hard to define, especially trying to operate with it.
Because it starts off, for me anyway, starts off like just trying to not mess it up.
Right.
Just to put out a product that doesn't suck, where it makes people go like, you're right, I'll actually pay money for this food.
Yep.
And then if you can do that so many times and then build off of that confidence comes. Right. You take more chances, you take more, try new things.
It's career development, but it's done right in the face of everybody.
Yeah.
And I imagine there are other industries like that, but this being really the only one I've ever really known, it's such a driving factor and so noticeable.
You're on every night.
You have to be.
You're on every night. Yep. And it's like, we've talked about this before, like learning how, okay, this is the mechanism, this is the industry, this is what's expected from you, and then knowing all of that and then being able to separate it.
Right.
And then live your life. Nobody talks about that.
It's extremely, those lines are so blurred. It's almost like an actor getting stuck in their lines and in their character. Sometimes you have to go, oh wait, I don't have to be on.
Yeah.
Or I'm not supposed to be on.
Right. How to separate it, how to turn it off.
Yeah.
And people don't talk about that. you see, me and you have seen chefs. We've been a part of, abusing chemicals, substances, just to try to keep that energy, keep that not facade, but keep that.
No, energy is a very great way to describe it because, a great mentor of mine said to me one time, try to have as much fun at work as you can, and your guests are going to want to try to join you, and they're going to use their dollars and their wallets to do that.
Yep.
And not only is it now this natural, organic, fun vibe, but now they're paying you for it. So
Yes.
you are an actor, and you do have a lot of energy to hold, and subjecting yourself to that vulnerability gets very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And then the high-paced nature of the industry adds more stress.
Yeah, it's coming again.
Yeah.
It's not stopping.
And then the social nature of the industry goes, well, hey, if we're all hanging out, let's have fun doing it. And then the substance issues really develop. And unfortunately, up until very recently, it was very, swept under the rug and just kind of counted as a
part of the subculture.
Yeah, collateral damage of being in the industry.
Yeah.
And
as a given.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And it's now like we're starting to talk about it. You've just celebrated 3 years sober.
Thank you. Yep.
Congratulations.
Just recently. Yeah.
I'm switching over from alcohol to cannabis.
Right.
Just these things that we're doing of realizing that, okay, this is what it was. Mm-hmm. This is where we were.
Yep.
And this is where we're going. Let's
and to know the difference between.
Let's separate it.
Yeah. Let's separate it.
And
learn how to manage it. Learn how to offer yourself life-work balance, so you're not taxing yourself to the point that you're reaching out, trying to find supports, whatever the,
Or you're another tragic story.
Right.
Yep. You're the one that burned it at both ends for this long, and you're just gone now.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this industry will provide you with an opportunity. It doesn't have to, I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. It doesn't have to be that.
And I think in the past, the perception was if you don't give it all and succumb to the beast, then you really aren't part of it.
Yeah, you're not good enough, or you didn't put it all in.
And that gets back to the ego of it. A while back when I was going through the process of letting go of alcohol, I had this justification that you had to understand how to experience that bacchanalian joy of drink and food, and how to revel in it so much more than your guests, that you can now show them the passion of ingesting and succumbing to the joys of it, the intoxication.
Yeah.
And then if we can do that and we can show them, then we look like those titans, and they want to, and it's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
It's total bullshit. But
it's
when you're
crutch.
young,
it's a crutch,
and that's
and
all you're doing.
To be like, well, it's because of this. No, it's not.
No,
it's because you need to do that to cope, to deal with it, to be able to get to be here the next day, so you can get through service.
Yeah, And I think we feed ourselves those lines, or I know I fed myself that line. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like we all do. We all justify it.
Yeah.
We all have our reasons and excuses, and
then you got to look back in with yourself and say, hey, you don't have to prove this to anyone else, and you don't have to puff your chest out. You can just be.
You can just be.
Yeah.
And be honest. Oh my God.
Honesty.
I know.
It's the worst.
I know.
It's the worst.
God, it gets in the way.
Oh,
damn truth.
Right. But I have found that the honesty will set you free. And
I want to go into what you're talking about, looking at those cooks at when you're in a dish pit.
Right.
What first thing I thought of when you said that was our friend Dustin Nord. Of just that cigarette smoking, mustache wearing, burly dude with the cutout,
drinking,
with the high life drinking, with the quick jokes and ripping on people, but slinging pans,
but owning it.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm burned. You see me even flinching? But again, that
quintessential.
Yeah.
Cook's cook.
I still love it. I still love the image and the grandiosity of it. And I still love Dustin Nord, which, by the way, He's been sober for quite a few months as well.
Good for him.
And he's an executive chef at a brewery.
Awesome.
So
he's out west, right?
Yep, out in Washington or Oregon, right, yeah. Right on the Columbia River, right where Goonies was at.
Truffle Shuffle.
Yeah, jeez.
Come on.
So Hammer Hands is out in Goonie land, and I will say I miss the hell out of him. But he again, I worked with him at the 7th Rib way back.
Really?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
So he worked doing some catering jobs, worked in the kitchen. We brushed shoulders briefly. And then a few years later, he was over at City Cafe. He was doing tuna tartare with a little goldfish bowl underneath it.
Yes.
With a fish swimming around in it.
No shit.
And I was like, that's why I remember. That's why I love Dustin Nord. And then again, about another 10 years later, he comes back into my life, drags me back into the industry. So I feel
just
like
when I thought it was out.
Yeah, he's been kind of like my angel of the industry in that regard. I've had a lot of those guys.
Yep.
He's one of them. His stuff. Shit, he does welding art. Yeah. He's a man's man.
He is.
Oh,
he literally is. It's like Popeye with like your shop teacher. Like it's like a combo thing.
Yeah.
And he's so quick on
just knowing what to do in any situation, especially a high stress, intense situation. His heartbeat almost goes down,
dude. Right? It's like he welcomes it.
Yeah.
It's like those dudes that go to war. What's
it say about the type of person that thrives in this business? Because
this is normal for me. They're in this chaos, and this is normal for me. This is like where I'm supposed to be. And if I'm out of this, I'm kind of uncomfortable. I'm bored even.
So you have to be geared as a type of person.
I've noticed that about myself of doing it, of like putting you put yourself in these different situations where like, okay, I think I can get through this. Mm-hmm. I think I'm set up for it. It's going to take a little bit more than what I think I have in there.
Right. But I'm sitting 3/4 where I need to be.
Yeah. And then it's like, and then you go.
Yeah.
And when you are in it, it is that. It's like, all right, baby, it's working.
Yeah.
It's got like, this is coming to fruition. Mm-hmm. I'm creating something new within myself, and then it's blossoming into things around me.
And so that's where it's easy to
think that's all you, or think that it's
to listen to the ego part of it. When in actuality, it's like, no, you're just you understand
your part.
Yeah, your part, and you're doing it well.
Yep.
Just like if an electrician wired a house effectively.
Yep.
You think they strut around puffing their chest, but it's different because you're doing it in front of people.
Yeah, man. And that's what we're talking about, like this being able to separate that.
Yeah.
Of not let it take over. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it's intoxicating.
It is.
So it's such a And you know what? We all do it.
Yep.
And I don't think we all have to do it. And I think that's where I like the fact that that's where the culture's going.
Right. My brother Mike, he was on last week.
Yep.
He said it was cool he said something that was really cool to me, where it was is this industry for everybody long term? Absolutely not. Is this industry able to teach people lessons that they can take with them that will be advantageous to them long term? Absolutely.
Oh,
that's
yes.
what mostly it's for.
Yes.
And I tell people, my workers, all my employees, like, dude, in 5 years, I'm going to be the only one here.
Right.
And that's okay.
And that's because that's how the machine's supposed to be built.
Me and Baylor. Yeah.
Well, hey, come on, where's Baylor?
Shout out to Baylor.
We better get him on. Yeah. I will come back as long as Austin Baylor is my co-guest.
Listen, this is just the first podcast of many you're going to be on here.
Okay.
We're just breaking the ice. We're just introducing you right now.
I'm going to take a deep breath and exhale and go, all right, let the jitters out. Baylor's going to be here
we might just have a whole separate thing of a podcast with me, you, and Baylor.
Now I feel better about this.
Right. So, but that's what I tell my cooks or my employees. Like, dude, that's okay. That means it's working.
Right. I've given you
unless we're
skill
gonna
and the confidence to use it to the point where now you want to take your next step up.
And then go, baby.
And then go.
I'm in your corner.
Right.
I got you.
Right.
I want that for you more than you want it for yourself even.
There's a fulfillment that doesn't come with a bottom line.
Yes.
And that's why I think we do this.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Call it a perk. Like, whatever you want to call it.
I always say that too. Like, you don't just get to have this.
No.
But the other, it's a fulfillment that doesn't come with the bottom line, and that's beautifully put, because that's the vibe.
And that's a testament to the community that it takes to sustain this life. Everyone that has their position, not only do they have their position, they have their own unique set of skills and strengths.
Yeah.
And it's our jobs as leaders to shuffle those pieces around till the puzzle starts to show this clearer picture, and then those pieces just operate and hum rather than clack and clatter.
And so you and I, we last year switched the whole style of service around in this restaurant. Wildly.
Yes. Yeah.
And did construction and added the patio and had our catering stuff, and it was
basically created a new restaurant.
Last year was creating and new, but also a lot of it was me and you just figuring out
what did the new rules look like.
Yeah.
Right.
What is this? And so I just had this talk with Sarah, our front of the house manager.
Right.
Like, it's so cool that we did all that last year. We had the time to do it, and we're coming into this year, and like you're saying, all of our pieces are in place. Our systems are set up. Our starting lineup. We have a lineup.
Yeah.
No
kidding.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we got prep cooks. We got front of the house. We got.
And that took time to reestablish after the Great Shutdown.
Yep. The Great Shutdown of 2021.
Yeah, 19 to 20. Yeah, what are we on, year 3?
What is this? Where are we?
And that's where we stopped to talk about that. But honestly, the retransformation, if you will, was so.
It was out of necessity.
It was out of necessity.
It was out of necessity.
It was so life-giving in the perspective that it gave me.
Yeah, it was organic too, in the way that you and I had to literally figure out how to start over. Where it's
here's some ideas of what we think that we work. What we discussed. Is this what people are going to want? Is this how we can work within the new societal rules? Because we don't even know what those are yet.
Right. The parameters weren't even there.
Yeah, and so I think. To operate where that goal line was constantly moving, you just kept walking, and kept pushing towards it, hoping that you're going to cross it.
I think it's this way.
That goal line's going to slow down eventually, and we're going to cross it, and then we're going to know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, man.
And I think the time, like you said, the time spent during that lull was time well spent in that preparatory work.
And we're reaping those benefits now.
Right.
Just coming in with a peace of mind of having a game plan, rather than, okay, this might happen, this is what we're going to do if this might happen, or this might happen, this is what, it's like,
That speculation can lead to a lot of anxiety and a lot of stasis of like, I don't want to make any moves because I don't know if they're going to produce well or not.
I'm going to hurt myself too much by taking this chance, man, it's been quite a year
but hey, still standing.
We're still here, baby.
Still got it.
And
that's a testament, again, to if you've got a little downtime, you got time to lean, got time to clean.
That's right, baby.
And we had time to lean, so let's clean everything up. Let's clean up the perspectives. Let's clean up the balance. Let's clean up the percentages, our costs. Let's be more efficient.
Yes.
Let's
organized.
Yeah, and for every ounce of energy we give, we get that ounce back in some measure, whether that's a paycheck at the end of the day, whether that's an enrichment in the community, whether that's an investment in your staff, and to watch them blossom and eventually go off, open their own restaurants and become your competition, and you want that.
Trent?
Yeah.
We worked a double on Saturday.
That's right. I seen your snap. That was great.
There's a few people sick, and a couple people were out of town. And
you guys got in the trenches and went.
We went, and it's been a while since we both worked a double, just because we've had a lot of employees, and we're sharing the hours. It's the slow season, and it's Saturday night, and something gets sent back. And I'm doing the math in my head because it was a special, so I'm like trying to figure out how many specials we have, if I could just get one out quick. My face looked like I was upset because of it, but I was just doing math in my head and it looks like I'm upset. And Trent, right? And Trent goes, "Hey, it's okay.
Nah.
We got plenty.
Come on.
We'll just get it right out there. I'll get this here, put the pork on. Don't worry about it. And I look at Trent, and he starts laughing because he already knows
Cooler heads prevail.
what I'm going to say to him.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, am I in the Matrix? Am I in a Twilight Zone? Like, you're telling me to calm down? I love this. You're talking about
Exactly.
blossoming and like,
Right.
and like
Personal growth.
coming to fruition of being able to actually see a receipt for the efforts put in,
Yeah.
not only by me and you and everybody, but by
Himself.
himself in this process of the change that we did was like, I'm smiling and laughing, and it didn't matter that we were working 12 hours. It was just like, this is it.
That and I think that was a direct result of in investing positivity and structure and
Nurturing, fostering that.
and by setting an example.
Yeah, man.
I know within my own life, I've come full circle from not really understanding myself, and in turn not being able to communicate effectively, and then your own levels of frustration set in, and then it reverberates in your communication.
Right.
And I had to really learn that is so counterproductive. Even when your intuition says just the more pressure you put, the more effective your point will come across.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you need tact.
Yeah, you got to
You
set
need
that up.
compassion. You need empathy.
You got to grow it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to lead by example. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned within my own personal growth over the last few years is, if I want anything around me, to be positive, I have to lead as well.
Comes from within.
And
It starts with you.
and I've sat in a lot of negativity over the last few years.
Yeah.
Within my own personal self, trying to navigate my career and get back to where I want to get.
Yeah.
I've had to just constantly push that negativity away because it's tainting my perspective.
It's easier too. We've talked about this. It's
Yeah.
easier to push that blame, to be negative, to be,
Well, it feeds into your emotion.
it feeds into your emotions. You let it go, and like I've been guilty of that, where I have to check myself. I'm like,
Right.
dude, I've said this many times to these people to do this, and why isn't it done?
Yeah.
You know,
Like they
and-
owe you some sort of understanding.
And it's like, and I just look at myself, I'm like, Matt, no, that's not productive.
Right.
Let's just go have a conversation. We got home base on there. I could put a message up. I can just go have a civil conversation with the kid, the new dishwasher that probably didn't know, or
Right.
or whatever. It's just like, dude,
They're all humans, and they have their complexities of their life. They're just as complex as our lives.
Exactly.
Like that's where that checking yourself, like you get over the audacity, you get over your ego.
there's more to life than this little tiny restaurant.
There is.
and you're the chef of,
and you become
it's like, dude, we all have stuff going on.
Yeah.
Get over yourself.
But it's taught me to to have more patience, to take my own breaths before I react.
You know what I've noticed too of this is, you have to be comfortable saying uncomfortable things or having uncomfortable conversations,
Right.
just to get your point. Be nice about it. Be
Yeah. But what are you?
But you need to
what are you
communicate
doing
this
by
information.
not? Yeah, you have to communicate it.
So that's like the thing. It's like, okay,
Well, that's human nature versus being a chef.
I want to do it this way because fuck you, and this is what I said,
Right.
and it's like, okay, no,
Well, I think we've seen that in operation.
it's not a long-term
No,
solution.
no, it isn't, because you can't lead by fear.
It doesn't sustain.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Like, people will not work for you.
No, and again, where do you get off treating people?
Right.
And I'm guilty of this.
And
This is kind of a repentance of that sin committed, because I think maturity and experience has really shed the light on the truth, the honesty of that.
It's humbling, but it does.
Yeah,
I mean,
my first
it'll dissect you.
experience with understanding that was when I was down at a place called Riverside on the Root, which is now Junipers.
Go Junipers!
With our good friend, Chef Tyler Shipton, which I'm now working down there, helping him out, getting ready for the summer.
Love it.
Lanesboro's going to be popping.
Love it.
I'm excited to see what
Dude.
they're going to do down there. And but back at Riverside, where was I going with that?
We're talking about leading.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but my first experience with thinking that my leadership skill was where it needed to be, but it truly wasn't.
Right.
Was down when I was at Riverside. I came back after a few years. Was down at the bar, hanging out, and there was a few of the salad prep kids, because at the time they were 15, 16. Well, five years later, because I was actually helping Nord in 2017 down there.
I remember that.
And I was talking to them in the bars, and I was like, hey, now you guys are 21, we're hanging out, we're, being cool.
Smoking, drinking, shooting, snorting.
What was it like working with me? Was it awesome? No, you were a dick. And it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Oh, man.
And it's because I wasn't able to have those uncomfortable conversations. Mm-hmm. And if I was just able to be more honest and open and not tyrannical, there's no way they would have ever got that impression. Mm-hmm. And they got that impression of me as a person.
Right.
And so I was like, wait a minute, here's those lines starting to blur again.
Yep.
And that honesty was a wake-up call for me, and it was a big shift with how I held myself and the awareness which I held myself when encountering other people within this.
Well, that's a leadership skill that you learn.
Yeah, and it's humbling.
It's very humbling. It's like, well, I thought I was doing great. No, you were doing shit.
Yeah. Did you get the job done? Yeah.
Yeah, and then they all quit.
Yeah, and then
and then they all
or they got this bad taste in their mouth of the industry, and you know what? In a sense, good. I hope you went on to bigger and better things. I know they all pretty much did.
Sure.
But again, that's the springboard that you want to create for the people that you bring in to your community. Yeah. So, you learn lessons.
You do.
You do. Damn, it's wild. But again, I've learned so much about myself and about people just from being in this industry.
So let's go back. Yeah. Okay, 7th Rib.
Yep.
And then you went to culinary school.
Yeah, actually, at some time had lapsed. I was actually 25 before I got a letter in the mail from a good friend's mom with a cutout for Le Cordon Bleu. And I don't know if she saw me kind of static where I was at the time, but she sent it to me, and it was just this light bulb. And I think within a week later, I was signed up, and I started my culinary journey at 25, my culinary school journey. Spent 13 months doing that to get my associate's degree. Went down to New Orleans.
That's why I want to get this. Okay.
And
so you did your internship.
Yep. And then.
And this is where?
At Le Cordon Bleu at Brown College in Mendota Heights, Minnesota.
Okay. And then you went down.
And then you have to pick like an internship, which they like to consider it was like an 8 to 12 week internship thing.
Okay.
And they had this big laundry list of cruise ships and these restaurants and resorts and restaurants in France and all over the country and the world, and they gave you the links to try to set it up your internship. And a lot of these corporations and cruise ships, they had their own little programs, so they had their own little temp agency for hiring you, but you had to do the legwork.
Okay.
So as I'm looking at this page upon page, okay, I'm going to take this information that I'm learning and this opportunity that I'm creating for myself in culinary school. What do I want to do with it? Mm-hmm. I've grown up in a small town my whole life. This could be my big shot to get out.
Sure.
And so what do you want? If you could go anywhere, where's your wildest dream? And it was New Orleans.
Yeah.
And not only New Orleans, but it was, again, one of those PBS chefs that I grew up watching as a kid, Chef Paul Prudhomme.
Yeah.
And his restaurant, K. Paul's, down in the French Quarter, was on that list. And the rest of the places might as well have been a greasy spoon.
Yep.
They didn't compare anymore.
Just ringing the bell.
If I can get this internship, then this astronomical money I'm spending for culinary school
justified.
Even if I don't make it anywhere, I did this.
Yeah.
So young, kind of misguided, if you will, but true in intent.
And you got in your car.
And I got in this little tiny, I think it was a 1987 Dodge K car.
Nice.
AM, FM radio, no cruise control. I drove.
No power steering.
No power steering either.
Yeah, I remember that.
I drove with no cruise control. I developed a large lump in my thigh from having to hold the gas pedal down for 19 and a half hours. And it was such a wild journey. It was such a wild journey down there.
You're literally cruising into your future.
Yeah, without any sense of
that rite of passage or that
it was like I should be owning this more, but I'm scared as hell.
Right.
What am I doing? I'm leaving my small town. I'm leaving all of this like comfort and stability. I'm leaving it all for this pamphlet I got in the mail 2 years ago, and now I'm driving across country to go work for my this dream chef.
Yeah. It's not even real.
Yeah, this is surreal.
Yeah.
You know, and then I get down there, and small town kid, wasn't ready for the city.
Sure.
You know, and I had a few experiences. I'd lived up in Minneapolis while I was going to school. I'd spent some time living with my cousin out in LA for a summer. Spent a lot of time down in Phoenix. You know, so all of these bigger cities, I had that exposure.
Sure.
But never on my own without really a clue of what the hell
And the
I'm
nightlife
doing.
in New Orleans is a little more aggressive.
Aggressive?
A little more
than Ostrander and Spring Valley? I don't.
It's got a little bit more going on.
I mean, I know now in Lanesboro, you can have an open container on the street.
Really?
That's as progressive as I've seen Minnesota ever get. Oh, there's like a little.
I didn't know
parameter.
that.
Yeah, you can have an open container. There was within like a certain area of town, and a lot of these tourist areas, they allow that. And guess what?
Hey, Harmony, where are we at here?
The community isn't imploding.
Yeah, guess what? We're still
It's
being civil.
So there's food for thought to our diners out there.
Yeah.
You can cut loose a little bit and have some fun.
It's okay.
So yeah, the luster of Bourbon Street, which
lure.
was 2 blocks away from the restaurant. I had to cross Bourbon Street every single night to get back to my little K car in the Piggly Wiggly parking lot.
Yes. Yes.
And literally there would be a wall of people, and there would be several chefs all walking together, and we would stop, grab a 32-ounce beer from the little, for like $1.75, and that was our little thirst quencher as we walked to the car.
Yeah.
And
you're shifty.
We'd walk through the corridor, or through Bourbon Street, through the sea of people. Say 5-6 chefs walked through, maybe 3 walked out. Someone always got caught up in, oh, wow, there's someone I know.
Yep.
Or, wow, there's a band.
Yep.
Or, wow, there's a lot of, even though they were locals, they still got swept up in,
the atmosphere,
the main street of their community.
Yes.
And that was the life.
That's part of it.
And that was part of the reason why I went down.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
it's a perk.
If you can make it in New Orleans, it's like if you can make it in New Orleans, if you can like own your own confidence amongst these guys. Again, that's another badge of honor you've created for yourself. You've proved to yourself that you can do it.
There's like so much to be said for that, because it is a positive thing to be able to put yourself through something, to attain your goal, to have that sense of confidence of where like, I went through this, I can do it. But again, it comes like, well, the overconfidence, the aggressiveness of leaning on that too much, of drawing from that well, or, it's like, yeah, dude, you got to go through that. And it's good that you did. But, know when to move on, or know when to separate that, or not make that about the conversation all the time.
And life checked me there. Was I able to hold my own? Probably not in that capacity. Did I do a fair job, a respectful job by myself? Yeah.
I love your story about the drill sergeant.
The
manager, the cook, the kitchen manager.
The prep chef, prep sous chef.
Talk about him a little bit.
So his name was Cannon, and he was previously a Marine drill sergeant, and his leadership style in the kitchen exemplified that.
Yeah.
He ran it aggressively, very intense. Militant.
Brigade.
Yeah. And here I am, just a small town kid, but I still, full alley cat.
Yep.
And
cougar.
Yeah. I was wild. So yeah, wanting to test him was definitely there, but the humbleness of I'm not in southeastern Minnesota anymore really sank in. And but it was hilarious because he would just make fun of how different I was from their world. And,
Sure.
and for me, it was, God, look how different you are.
Right.
But it was so interesting. We were sitting in the break room, and he's like, in his raspy drill sergeant voice, you know what these motherfuckers eat up there? They deep fry cheese curds. Crazy sons of a bitch. And they're all looking at me aghast, like I am
Something's wrong
some
with you.
culinary deviant, just some swamp monster that eats
alien.
silage. They could not understand deep fried cheese curds. And I'm like, don't you guys eat swamp rats around here?
Come on, swamp rats.
But out of my element, I looked like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And
you talk different too.
oh man, yeah, and it was right after, Fargo had been out a few years, so
Sure.
they were expecting me to have that.
Oh, geez.
But you know what? When you're down there, you do realize how quickly you talk comparatively. And the culture's just different. I pulled through a Rally's drive-through, and the attendant on the microphone called me babe and sweetie, and I'm like, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Hey.
What is going on?
We're going to go on a date?
Yeah. Like, I just want my burger. But this is nice.
Rally's fries, by the way, are
Oh, yeah.
Life-changing.
Yep. Shout out to Rally's and Crystal, with a K, Crystal Burger. Yeah, it's kind of like a South's version, like Rally's, of like White Castle.
Ah.
Like little steam bun sliders, puffy crinkle cut fries. The best when you've had way too many 32-ounce beers.
Yep.
Or I will say,
It'll cure you.
Everclear. And I haven't drank for 3 years, but Everclear daiquiris.
Oh, my God.
Only way to go.
Yeah.
Most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Most bang for your buck. You want a floater? Yeah, I want a floater. Of
course I do. What do you
I
think
don't
this
want
is?
to. Yeah, I think I want to limp away from this accident.
Think I'm a Mary?
Yeah, come on. So my time spent in New Orleans was everything I wanted it to be.
How long were you there?
I think, if I remember correctly, about 2.5 months.
Right on.
And I would have loved to have stayed down there, but as
Chef Prudhomme, was he around?
he was, and I'll never forget the one time I met him in the kitchen, because I'd met him again at like a Christmas party for the company and whatnot. But I was just finishing up doing some cherry tomatoes, which hadn't learned any methods, so I'm slicing them with a paring knife one at a time instead of using the crisscross method with the plates. And again,
And
I look back,
the bread knife.
I look back and go, God, that's what I was looking at, was the technique I was using, not the, but I hear, well, who do we have in the kitchen now? And I turn around and here's Chef Paul Prudhomme in his little rascal scooter. He was a very large man through his whole life. Health stuff put him in kind of a wheelchair bound, to the point that the entire restaurant, every table was set up that he could pull his rascal in underneath and continue to work. He'd accommodated the entire place, which I was like, baller. You own the place, and you still make it for yourself, but yet you have a crew of almost 18 chefs nightly running it for you. Like, that's just a true testament of just who he was
and doing it right.
Yeah.
Of it's for everybody, but I still get to play.
Yeah. And I loved that sense about him. Was he understood, he not only did he develop this empire, he created kind of a movement. He brought publicity to New Orleans, to Cajun cooking, to Creole cooking, to really the whole lifestyle.
And the mark that he made, it just on the industry as far as being a face and leading.
He had that jovial personality. Again, you have to be in front of people. He not only exemplified that, he loved it. He loved owning that character.
And then set up his restaurant.
To reflect that.
To serve that.
Yes. It was an open kitchen concept. There was one freezer in the entire place, and that was to store ice cream for their ice cream drinks up at the bar. It was my first time really working in a scratch kitchen. And it blew my mind.
Yeah, dude.
It blew my mind. I messed around in supper clubs and little bars and grills and whatnot, and pizza
this stuff
places.
comes in fresh every day?
Yeah. And then to see, the fresh produce coming in every day, and then you had to prep it. Like, this takes time. Why am I having to pick through 30 pounds of parsley and take all these again, I was still maturing in the industry, but I knew I'd committed myself by going this step of culinary school, going off to New Orleans and going, all right, well, I guess this is the life. Let's go.
Right.
But
you committed.
I committed, and I saw it through. And unfortunately, it was right after like the .com bust of like, I don't even remember, right around like, it was 2003 I was down there, I believe. So unfortunately, everyone from the tech industry kind of flooded back into the tourism industry to sustain themselves. Wages were so low at the time.
Okay.
I ended up making the choice to come back home, and I immediately got a job for like $8 more an hour.
Right.
Off the street.
Sure.
And it was just like, okay, I guess I have to just chalk this up as an experience in my life, a time in my life.
Hey, we're talking about it right now.
I get to enjoy it. Yeah, and I get to reminisce on it.
Yeah.
And I get to see all the fruits of that investment. I mean, I have such a warm, rich memory now, and really, I left my heart down there. Like,
yeah, man. This you've talked about before. It's like, dude, it's intoxicating.
It's like
falling
in love. Yeah, it's like falling in love with a soulmate. You can't ever leave that connection, no matter how hard you ever try.
Yep. That's a good way to put it.
And that's what that city. Not only because I was just a young kid wanting to just go do it up and be part of that life, learn how to become that titan.
Right.
Be bigger and badder than those guys, and then you've succeeded.
Yeah.
And that was all part of my journey.
Yep.
And then, like life, it's a roller coaster.
It is.
You have those ups, and then you go down. I had hand surgery, and I got out of the industry for a few months, and I tried to do sales, and it was like, no, just like that soulmate, just like that city, like that lover, this industry, this life, this career, it will always call to me.
Yeah, I've said that too. Like, I honestly don't think I could do anything else.
Right.
I mean, that's just me. But like, going off what we were saying is that I don't think anything else could really give me back what this has given me. Right. And it is that calling. It's like, dude, and like I said,
you can fight it all you want. And you have the right to step out of it for as long as you want,
and I've thought that too, where it's like, hey,
there's a cosmic tide.
It's okay to take a break.
Yeah,
it's okay to recalibrate.
To set that part down.
Yeah, it can still be a part.
Yeah,
but take time to recalibrate to work on whatever else I got going on in my life. You know what I mean?
So because life will tell you when it's time to do that.
Yes,
and. Yep. That's another dose of humility.
Right.
Again, like,
you don't just get to do whatever you want to do all the time as fast and hard as you want to do it.
Yep. Oh, you can try.
Yeah, and then you'll burn out and you'll be somebody we're talking about.
And that's just another part of that roller coaster. But learning lessons, God, and you and I've spent hours upon hours in the basement of this building.
This is where the podcast idea stemmed from.
It did come from.
You and I prepping in the basement, talking about, what we should do is just put microphones on ourselves.
We should take everything we're talking about and put it out there because, man, we've got some gems.
Hey, we know what we're talking about.
Well, I think for both of us, it was a sounding board to get clear.
Yes.
Like if we had questions about the direction that we were even kind of pushing each other.
Yeah.
We had full
sounding board and
liberty to discuss it and be vulnerable and present our fears and I think
know it's in a safe space.
And it's weird that we took that tangible space and created this like metaphorical vault that we knew that it was a vacuum, that nothing on the outside world mattered other than the clarity we were trying to offer ourselves in that vault.
We made a place for us to work shit out.
Yeah.
And that was like, okay, dude, well, this is great. And we've noticed too after that we could leave it down there. Or we could use that space as that.
And I think that's how we learned how to start separating those pieces. Because we knew we could just shake it out and then set it down.
Yeah.
And then we could come up here, we could put that smile on that we know that we need to offer to our guests.
And it was more genuine.
We're not holding it.
Yeah. I actually want to be up here and talk to you people. Dude, it's been,
I think the serendipity of how we met, how our worlds and universes started to blend to then what we were able to offer each other. Yeah. I can't deny that was
meant to be.
Yeah.
I get the same vibe.
Yep.
The same feeling. And we've discussed it, like just where where our paths were, what we were going through in life.
And then what we were able to offer each other within our own capacity.
It's literally like I lost my left leg and you lost your right leg.
In completely different sense, but we had to figure out how to put the pieces back together.
Yeah, and that's what we did.
We did.
And that's what we like figured out together, like by leaning on each other. And a friendship has been formed, and it's like a forever friendship because it just goes deeper than most people are even willing to talk to each other about. Well,
we offered again a vulnerability to each other that, I think even guys in particular aren't willing to entertain.
Sure.
You have to be too real, and that honesty hurts sometimes.
Yeah. And also me and you giving each other the grace to say something to the other person, knowing that this is gonna maybe hurt your ego.
Yeah.
And
we both grew because of that allowance.
But I'm doing this because you do it for me. Tough love, right?
Yeah. But again, that congeniality of not wanting to hurt someone.
Exactly. And knowing the next day that person could, overnight go.
They're probably going to come back in,
process
but what they're going to say is going to be thought out.
Yeah.
And it's not just knee jerk. And I think we did knee jerk reaction sometimes, but then as we started to learn to communicate from our own perspective, not understanding you or you understanding me, but understanding ourselves, now we can articulate and have more confidence that what we're saying is right.
Yeah.
Is truthful, is honest.
And it was so cool to be able to be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Here, just listen to this. And the other person go, okay, hit me.
Yep.
It's like a tennis ball.
We called each other out on our bullshit once in a while. But the beauty was the chances we took, we thought out ourselves. So we knew if we were going to open up, like, hey, let's have a real conversation and I'm not bullshitting anymore.
Dude, and there's so much value in that.
Yeah.
Like, this is why this podcast is because just to hit a little bit on that with other people, of just to find that, like, to talk through something and then end up on a subject, and then like you both kind of just figure out something, just to take a little bit of that from a conversation.
When those light bulbs go off, and then it's like you feel this like sense of gratitude when that light bulb goes off, like, okay, that's why that tension was there.
Yes.
And for me to find out the truth behind it.
Yes.
We wear masks so much, and there's so much cliche to that, but then when you can step out of that mode and you can step out of that persona for a moment and be real. That's where you realize those lines are so blurred.
Right.
Because you have to literally step out of it.
Yeah.
And then make sure you keep it separated.
That was cool about having the basement. I was like, you can say all this stuff down here.
And not only could we say it, we could yell it out.
Yeah, right?
We could scream it out. We could cry it out. And I'll never forget that experience as long as I live.
Work through the problem.
Yep.
Oh,
guess what? We're getting our asses kicked. You think you philosophical fucks are done?
You're not done.
You guys get to work. By the way, the fries are overdone while you guys are talking about your feelings.
Yeah, and make mashed potatoes now.
Yeah, now make mashed potatoes. We got potato soup now. I meant to do that.
Speaking of, we're switching over to those other fries, the ones that Juniper's does. Talking about getting out of my ego, getting out of my way of sticking like, no, hand cut fries. We do them all here. We just tried this last weekend.
Yeah.
Doing them, and it's like, oh my God, Matt. Come on, dude. Took you 6 years, I mean, but that's one of those things, right?
But I think that comes down to that the symbiotic relationship with competition. That when new influences come in, especially to these smaller communities, when new influences come in, they shouldn't be looked as threats. They should be looked as these, they're fertile. I don't want to call fertilizers, but they're startups for an enrichment of culture.
Yes.
And an expansion of culture in a community. And
that the open line of communication of me and Tyler and you too, it was just like, we're talking about the fries, talking about cost effectiveness, talking about the product, talking about, the availability of them, talking about, how much they have to pay somebody to prep those fries and the money saved. It's like, just to be able to have the open line of communication and not be like, you're dumb, why aren't you doing this? Or like, I'm an idiot, or no, how I'm doing it is right because they're hand cut fries and this is all. It's like, that's not progressive.
Right.
That's so
ego-driven,
old way of thinking. You're not helping each other. Like, if I fail and learn from it, And if Tyler fails and learns from it, and then if you fail and learn from it, that's 3 times the learning capacity, because we're sharing of what not to do. I already did this, don't do it.
A shared knowledge, a shared sense of procedure, of ability, of capacity.
And we're all growing.
Yeah.
And then we're all getting better.
And the community flourishes because of that. And I think it
was
at
humbling.
Times.
God damn, it's humbling.
I know it's humbling.
Like literally, we went and ate, and I ate the fries. I go,
but light bulbs are good.
I go,
light bulbs shed light.
These are better than ours. Shit, these are better fries than ours. Because that's the ego right away. And then it's like, dude, let's just talk about it.
I love getting upset at something that I'm enjoying in a restaurant. And again, when I see other people get mad, especially people in the industry, there's no more sincere form of flattery, if you will.
It's a bullseye.
Yeah, like
you nailed it.
I did it so well.
It pissed him
off. I've left you questioning, and now those are those little tidbits we take for our pride.
That's for me.
That's for me. But again, that spreading of knowledge, only helps everybody grow. I learned that in my little town of Ostrander when I was down at Susie's Roadhouse for a brief period. We had a lot of construction going on here.
Yeah, we're putting on a new door out there. Just don't worry about that.
Yeah, so we wanted to let you know where the banging's coming from.
Lynn Tinner's out there swinging the hammer, buddy.
But
before the podcast, I went out. I'm like, hey, we're gonna do a podcast. He's like, just don't worry about it.
You won't get in our way. Okay. Well, good, Lynn. We'll stay inside. You'll be all right.
Okay, Lynn. Thanks, buddy.
But there was a bar next door. There was just a little bar and grill, but it closed down and spent about 1.5 years being closed. And in that 1.5 years, sales were down. And when a new owner came in, took it over, changed the name of it, changed the concept, they started bringing their own following in. Well, the competition wasn't taking our business away. It was giving another reason for outside people to come into the community of 200 people,
right?
250 people, and on a busy Saturday night, they're increasing that population 3-fold. And now that's sales tax revenue.
The whole town.
That's people working from town, getting income from working there, the exposure to the community. Yep. It just made sense to have that competition.
When the water rises, all the boats rise. All the boats rise.
Yep. I know there's a proverb in there somewhere.
There's something I wanted to say way cooler than that. And the water goes up.
And the water goes up, and so do the boats.
And then the boats go too.
Floating.
Isn't this nice when we're floating up here?
Do we have the ability to do a...
Yeah.
Okay.
Like at the end?
No, right now. I need a break. Then you can start to understand it's not you.
It's not me.
And again, I think when you start blurring those lines, like you were saying, between being the chef, being the person, being the personality that's expected of you, those lines get so blurred, and then you have to be able to identify what it is, and the investment in yourself helps create that perspective of going,
because as much as it is us,
it's not me.
Exactly. Because as much as it is us investing in ourselves and having that realization, prior to that, it's us putting that pressure on ourselves. That's self-induced anxiety. That's self-induced, expectations, and letting you're literally, you feel like you're letting yourself
is
down.
There something to be said as a takeaway, as a chef, as a restaurateur, as a leader within the hospitality industry of... I'm trying to go with this.
I think the chefs that do it right, that do it well, that have longevity, that's what we're kind of the theme of this podcast right now is that you learn how to do both.
Yeah.
You learn how to incorporate yourself into it, but not have it take you all the way or take all of you.
That's a good point.
It's like, dude, I still have a family. I still have a wife. I still have, my other interests and stuff outside this restaurant that I have to, take. I have other parts of my life that need my energy and my focus and my attention. But it's just so hard sometimes to be like, hey, I got to get back to the restaurant. Hey, I got to check on this. Hey, I got to make this email. I got to make this phone call.
And that's where like understanding the priorities, understand your priorities. And a lot of times, we've talked about all this self-growth and everything, but I think with that comes an acknowledgement of how ineffective everyone has been in their previous self.
Yes.
And again, it's those lessons learned that as chefs, you have this strive for perfection, almost to a detriment. And you want that perfection to kind of portray through the rest of your life too. And again, you have to go, no, that's not what life is about. It's about finding the happiness within those gray areas.
Using those tools to help you in other aspects of your life, but not the end game.
Right.
Of like, it's got to be, because I think that's a good point of like, you're always striving for perfection, or you're striving to get better, but you have to know that it's not ever over. You're ever not doing that. I mean, I think that's what keeps revitalization in the industry, but also knowing that that's part of the journey. That's part of it. Like, okay,
have that sense of awareness within yourself.
You're never gonna get there. You're never gonna be perfect. And you have to let that go.
And that's a toxic perspective. But again, when you're looking at it from an ego standpoint, it's a driving motivator.
Yes. And
you don't look at it as toxic. You look at it as beneficial.
Exactly.
And
so you need it. You need it just as much as you don't want it to take over.
Yeah. But then once you start relying on just that, then you start losing pieces of you.
Yeah.
Then you start losing parts because your priorities now are shifting away from your true self. And then again, you start riding that roller coaster. You ride up the hill and you think you're on a high trajectory of life, only to realize, no, you're at a very dangerous height to fall from.
You're a race car, you're running in red.
And once you get up there and you realize, oh crap, I've put myself in a position of vulnerability. I don't want to fall from here.
Yeah.
But then life goes, no, you don't get to decide the direction. You can try to navigate. You can use your best intuition, but life is still going to decide if you're going to go down that hill. And then all you can do is figure out, am I going to hold on to the rail? Am I going to hold on to the bar that's holding me into the car? Or am I going to throw my hands in there and have some fun with it?
Right.
And I think that ownership of self, again, it only came for me with maturity, because once those in the past, when those hills would start going down, it would collapse everything for me. Right. And again, I didn't understand my priorities.
And then you're on a bender for a week, and then you're
then you're making
horrible choices.
You're making excuses as to why you can't rise to the occasion. You blame it on other people. You blame it on other things, when really it's just understanding yourself and deciding that you're going to be the priority.
Right.
And the decisions made based off of that should aid you pretty well.
Yep.
And man,
it's tough.
I think I can only have this conversation now because we've had those conversations over the last 3 years.
Yeah, dude.
And I think I owe a lot of my perspective now. After everything I've been through, I owe a great gratitude of thanks to you for helping me understand it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And that my value, my priorities, they weren't tied up in anything that I thought they were supposed to, because that was ego.
Right.
I learned to get over myself in the basement. In a very healthy way, in a gentle, guided way. You told me to get over myself. And I owe a great debt of gratitude, because not only did it help me start to come out of the bottom of that hill and understand, like, hey, there's another hill on this roller coaster coming. This time, throw your hands in the air.
Yeah, buddy.
It's about doing, I feel like my life has turned a corner, and I still get to decide what it's going to look like for me.
It's so freeing, liberating.
At first, it's frightening.
Yeah.
It's frightening to go, no, wait, if I'm going to be the priority, I don't get to make any more excuses. And I don't get to blame it on anyone else.
Right.
And to offer yourself that type of vulnerability is in the end, what makes the difference. It makes you decide whether you want to get on the roller coaster at all.
Yeah, dude.
Because you got to be ready. Yeah, sun's going to shine, but it's going to rain too. And just know it's not going to rain forever, and it's not going to sunshine forever. And there's so much vulnerability in that I had to lend myself to. And again, once I made myself the priority, then it was, all right, I can hold on to that.
From my end, going through, that stuff was being vulnerable to learn, to have those conversations of like, dude, you've been doing this longer than me. I don't know this process, this mechanism, this technique. I need to learn this. And like you having the grace to teach me or like understand, like I haven't been doing this as long as you, and me being vulnerable to say, listen, here's what I want to do. Right. I've got 3/4 of it, I think, figured out. This other quarter, I need help.
Is eluding. Yeah.
I need help.
Right.
I don't know how to.
That's humble.
Yeah, man.
It's humble and vulnerable.
And it's like.
But I think trust gets built from that.
Absolutely.
And that's been a big thing for me is not only trusting myself, but just, the concept of trust. Yeah. I've had to really examine that and understand my ownership within it. And again, you can't trust unless you're honest with yourself. And a lot of these concepts seem elementary, but I'm finally not only open to them, but I'm starting to understand them more at this stage of the game for me.
It's awesome.
In my 40s, might have been a little late to the party growing up, but hey, I think the tools that I have now are greater tools than I ever had before.
That's so cool to see, and just be a part of it with you, man, and you be a part of it with me. You know what I mean? Like we're both growing, we both have our lives, we're both gone through, but we're able to sit here and talk about it,
right? And
the things that we went through, and the things that we are still willing to put ourselves out there,
right?
And take those chances, or get on the ride,
right? And I guess to preface this, a good way to describe our meeting was, I came in with my wife for dinner a couple times, and I'd remembered, I was just so intrigued every time I'd come in to eat because I was so happy. It's just, cool food around here, something that I'd spent my whole professional life, my whole adult life trying to create.
Thanks, man.
And when I saw that you had a similar vein, I got up and I shoved my hand through the pass and introduced myself. And then once we got to know each other, life just happened.
Yeah.
And I had a falling out with the business, and you had issues with your daughter Gabby, and we found each other at very important times in our lives.
Yeah.
And I can't think that isn't by chance.
No. And this is a talk that we've had many times, and just because we're able to talk about it and look back on it, it was like, dude.
Well, there was a time that we weren't able to talk about any of this without shouting.
Yeah.
in anger in our position.
I know.
And again, we were fighting life.
Yeah.
But I think we understood to settle into the groove and let it be what it's going to be. And again, I don't think I could have done that without your grace to help me with that.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
And this restaurant wouldn't be here without you taking over when I was gone. I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital, and you ran the restaurant for me.
And during that time, I didn't know why the hell. You know what? I did. I knew why I was here, but I didn't know why life put me here.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, up to present moment, damn, dude, there was more lessons in that.
Yeah.
In that moment, in that experience. Yeah, and as painful as the shit that we've had to go through, it's been less painful because of your friendship, and I don't want to get super sappy about it because I'm fucking crying.
You son of a bitch.
Well, dude, would we have a podcast if we weren't crying? Shit, we didn't have a conversation like this without crying. But again, I trust that the shit that we've talked about and the the trust and the perspectives that we've offered has come from a heartfelt
it comes from a place of love.
Yeah,
it absolutely does, and that's the foundation of our friendship, and it's grown from that, and dude, we set a precedent a long time ago to not let the professional side
of it get in
the way of our friendship.
We've had to talk about money before and realize that it's an uncomfortable, because it's a business. It's a business, and that part's uncomfortable for us, and the fact that we just threw it out there and said, hey, this sucks talking about, offered me so much confidence to be able to communicate it and not go, well, he's got some ulterior motive, he's hiding.
Yeah, or he should just know.
Why just know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got that out of the way. And again, that level of communication has paid dividends as I've used it in the rest of my life.
Amen.
And so,
me as well.
The pain, again.
You got me into therapy.
Yeah.
Just seeing the vocabulary and the emotional education of how to deal with life and things. I was like, dude, I need to start this for myself, and it's been night and day. It's just putting the work in, and being able to have these conversations.
And getting over the hump too. Again, you have to offer yourself that vulnerable, can I, not only do I need this, and again, for myself, life reminded me that I needed to take care of some things.
Right.
And now is that
I'm human.
time.
I'm vulnerable. I've fucked up.
Yeah.
I need help.
Yep. And now is the time for me to invest in myself.
Amen.
In that vein.
And what better year to do it than during the pandemic?
As I was going through my therapy, I was like, God, I just wish the world would slow down and stop for once. Holy shit! It did.
Yeah. And it did.
It literally was such a surreal feeling of
it literally stopped.
So hey, if you're gonna have this time off, prepare, like you did with the restaurant, like we did with the restaurant, like I'm trying to do with myself.
Invest in yourself. Take that time
and be humble enough to let the uncomfortable parts seep through, so you can work on it.
Amen.
Because if you can't be honest about the uncomfortable parts, you're never going to do the real work.
When you can't be honest about it with yourself, you're not going to be honest with other people, and then it's not going to blossom.
Yep.
It's not going to flourish.
You're
not going to reap those benefits because it doesn't come from a place of truth and genuine, intent. Amen.
So yeah, man, it's been one of the grandest educations I've ever been able to offer myself, and it's an education in understanding why I tick, not just what I do when I tick, but why I do it.
Yeah.
And dude, I feel like I've grown as a person. I feel like I'm really growing back into the chef that I know that I am. And life makes you question that, but then I think those questions are there for a reason. It knocks you down a peg and goes, wait a minute,
reevaluate.
You're from Spring Valley and now you're in New Orleans cooking. Life's got to remind you once in a while.
It's got to check you.
It does, and you get clarity and you gain ownership and confidence to move forward after you take your lumps, if you will.
Your growing pains.
Yeah. When you suck that up, you accept it rather than fight it and make some excuse up for it, then the door opens and you move into that next path of your life.
You can literally move forward.
Yeah. And before, I spent a long time bullshitting myself. I was doing the cha-cha.
Yeah.
I was doing the box trot. I was moving around in a square dance. I wasn't ever leaving the dance floor. The whole time, every step I was taking, I was only going in a circle.
Yeah.
And
I think we all get in those ruts too. That's safety
it's comfort.
Yep.
It's comfort. And we've discussed this in length, that we do stay in those positions in our life out of comfort.
I'm not ready to not get out of this. I'm not ready to do the tango. I'm just stick to the box trot.
And that is great to offer yourself the chance to rehearse it.
Yes.
And then, like we were talking about this podcast itself, give yourself the opportunity to learn from your mistakes and not just be humble, but just be accepting.
Yes.
Be accepting of yourself to grow.
Yep.
And then you start climbing the roller coaster again. Then you start going up towards the top.
It was such a epiphany to me, like when we were going through, COVID and like changes and stuff, to be able to give myself the grace after being open for 4 years to be okay to fail,
to re-examine everything that you thought you had built correctly and soundly. But then again, that
to know what I have, to know what we already was established, and then to make a calculated decision, educated guess of like where to move forward, and then know that it's okay if even know that it's not gonna work out exactly how you think it's.
And that's that's a level of acceptance you have to offer yourself too.
And that was such a moment of clarity for me, of being like able to deal with it. There's the issue. We're moving forward. That's fixed. Now we can move on. Just to be able to process it.
I think people get focused on the bullseye of a target when they don't realize that the 20 is actually more points.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
And that's a great way to offer yourself that pivoting. Going, whole time I know where my target is, but guess what? If I don't hit the target, I'm still going to land in something good. If not, sometimes better.
Right.
And that outside the bullseye is the chances that you take in life. They're not sure bets.
And a lot of times, dude, when you're doing it for the right reasons and right intentions and maneuvering like that, it ends up being something better than you thought it was going to be. And it's totally different than what you thought it was going to be when you started.
And that comes with practice.
Yeah.
And that comes with honing your skill.
And you're putting in your time for your craft and building that. And it's like, well, now we have this option.
Yeah. Luck favors the prepared.
Right.
And that's a great lesson I learned a long time ago. Anyone can take a shot at something. Like, you want to go run the 50-yard dash? Well, you can run it, but an Olympic athlete that's trained to do this, that ran it as slow as you did at some point, but then decided to keep running it over and over and over, they're going to be faster than you. And to offer yourself that point in time to just be there. To just be there.
To show up.
Talk about humility.
Dude, just show up.
And just don't try to own the moment. Just be there.
Show me you can be here for a week. I tell my cooks. Show me you can do it for a month. Show me you can do this for 6 months. And then maybe you can work the grill station because you got the salad station down. You know, it's just like, dude, that's life. That's everything in cooking will show you that.
Right.
You know, it just relates all across the level.
Humility. It teaches you.
You don't just get to show up and do this shit. You got to put the time in.
You know? And you can't do it alone. That's been a huge thing for me, is to understand the concept of teams, positions, systems,
human element.
All that stuff plays, but it's you can navigate it. You know, and that's what I've always found so great about the community is we all know we've got this big ass ship to row. And it's gonna take a lot of effort to do it, but when we're done, we're sailing the high seas. We're sailors. We're pirates.
We're pirates.
We are pirates.
We're literally at sea trying to get.
How many other industries do you find that sort of like camaraderie? I don't want to call it honor among thieves, because that's to suggest like this is a less than honest industry, because it's not. This is a very noble one, but with the high stress comes an adaptation that you have to develop, and if you don't have that, then you might not be suited for this game.
Right.
And I think that's that clear definition of you either have it or you don't. Can you adapt to the seas, to the challenges, to the rogue wave that's going to hit you?
My brother puts it a good way of being in a band, where it's like, you know, he has this. You have a skill set, right? And if your skill set's good enough, you can literally go into any kitchen, like any band, and say, "Hey, I play the bass. I can jam with you." You know, "Hey, I play the drums. I'll keep the beat. I can. What are we doing? What's our song and what key?" You know, and being able to walk in and do that is something that most other industries, you don't really have that. It's
unique.
It's a unique thing, you know, of being. It's almost like a type of artistry where you get to this point where it's like, I've played all these songs.
Yeah.
You know,
I had a great conversation the other night, right in that same vein.
Yeah.
I was learning a new position. And Mendela had asked me, she goes, well, how do you know how to do that? I'm like, well, for instance, you take a musician or you take an actor, they've studied the basics. The musician, they know all the classic tunes by heart just because they've done it verbatim,
Right.
And the actor, they know
they put
the lines
they put the time in.
Yeah, they know the lines to their favorite play, and they can do it verbatim because it's part of their passion too.
Yes.
So when a chef, line cook, whatever, walks into a new position, they already know the classics. They already know the hits. They know how to play them. So now you have the confidence to step in and go, I know that song.
Yeah.
And there's a little riff from this song.
Yeah.
And you start, you take a jazz mentality to owning that position. Yeah, I don't know it, but I'm going to riff till I get it.
Yep.
And then once
I'm not scared of the instrument.
Yeah.
And I know how to hold it.
And so I can see from somebody outside of the industry questioning your intent. Yeah. It's like, no, I have the confidence to know the hits. So when it's time to come up and riff, I'm a scat with you.
I'm a scat man, baby. Give me a beat and lay it down.
Yeah.
Here we go.
and yeah, it was a dramatic kind of explanation, but I think it drove that point home that once you understand the basics, it's easy to kind of connect.
Yeah.
And
maneuver.
Step in. Yep.
And commit.
Yeah, it's that type of profession of you have to have a very strong understanding of the basics. Then you kind of become a Swiss Army knife. And that's one thing I've really enjoyed in my last 30 years is offering myself the grace to suck at something.
Yeah.
And that's driven me to understand various parts of the industry. I have worked, like I said, dishes to a supper club to doing catering at 18 with Nord when he was 16.
I can't
Talk
even
about
imagine.
that crew.
I can't even imagine.
Right?
How many Miller High Lifes and Camel Lights were destroyed?
But hey, guess what?
Early mornings, late nights.
At least the food was good.
At least the food was good.
And that concept has stayed with me my entire life. Do whatever you have to do to get the job done, but get it done.
Get it done.
But then I decided to, after my hand surgery, go into sales. Did food sales for a while for a distributor, so I could understand
that end of the business
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Then a friend of mine, he had a concession business, and it's like, well, maybe you should go on the road and learn how to do on the road cooking and off-premise stuff and expand on that facet. So I went off for a summer and did that. And little by little, I started gaining these tools and these skill sets.
Yeah, your tool bags getting loaded up.
And if I can take anything away from my career, I offered myself the ability to see it from every angle that I possibly could. And I feel that it's only enriched. It's been a wild ride. It's been so tumultuous and so all over the place.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think there's anything else. I would have enough passion to wake up and go, I get to go do this again. I get to go make smiles.
Amen.
I get to go create sensations that connect people with memories.
Yeah.
It's
a connection, man. You're making connections. And just from my perspective and my end of it, I've only been doing it for 10 years, but now I feel that as far as being able to be confident enough to do a podcast to talk about, to have conversations with other chefs, to say, I can play songs now.
Right.
I got a few, I got some chops.
You know the chords.
Yep, I know the chords, and I can jam with you, and then I can riff with you, and this is exactly the reason for this podcast.
You become a better musician by having those jam sessions. Those jam sessions were us in the basement.
Yep. And just from a technical point of view or perspective, you're seriously one of the most talented people that I've come across.
Thank you.
In this, it's amazing from your experience that I could ask you a question and say, what do you think of this? And you would have something to go off of, you would have a lick or a riff.
And that's the value in offering a perspective shift.
Yep. And I'm just like, dude, this is, again, going back to the timeline of us coming together, it was perfect for me too, just to have you to ask these questions to, so I could build hey, what do you think about this technique? Or hey, have you ever tried this? Would this work with this? It's your skill set is incredible. So I just want you to know.
Well, thank you.
I just admire the shit out of you.
Well, I appreciate it,
Yeah,
man.
man.
And again, it's been a great friendship developed later on in life. You know, they always say it's hard to make friends as an adult. It was fucking easy, my friend.
Yep.
But just by reaching my hand through the window, I made the connection of a great friend who showed me the value that I was missing out on.
Well, it's been a real blessing for me too, man.
Right on, man.
I just love you to death, and thanks for coming and doing this. This is, like I said, this is the first of many podcasts we're going to be hanging out.
We'll save the stories for. We need content for later.
That's right.
Right on, my friend.
All right,
Well, I'll end this one with
little pound.
yeah,
And
we'll see each other again real soon.
sounds good. All right. Thanks,
Peace.
everybody.
So much more to this restaurant life. So much more to this restaurant life. So much more to this restaurant life. Let's go!